20-minute flow, just a kind of all-rounder to get you started for your day. And we will start in child's pose. So take your knees nice and wide, bring your big toes to touch. Sink your hips back to your heels and then start to walk your hands forwards. Let your chest and your belly melt down. Let your forehead and the tip of your nose come to rest. Just letting yourself arrive to your mat. Taking a moment to check in with how you're feeling, how your mind feels, how your body feels. Begin to notice your breath. Whether you're breathing into your chest, your belly, your back. If it feels accessible to you, just gently close your mouth and start to breathe in and out through your nose. Deepening your breath, breathing in for a count of 4 or 5, and breathing out for a count of 5 or 6. As you inhale, feel your belly rise, your ribcage expands, your chest fills with air. And as you exhale, your belly button draws back towards your spine, your diaphragm lifts, and any tension you're holding melts away. Continue breathing like this, letting your hips sink back to your heels, your chest melts down towards the mat. Begin to walk your hands over to the right side of the mat. Maybe your left hand crosses over the top. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, press your hips back to your heels. Take a full breath here. Walking your hands over to the left side of your mat. Maybe your right hand crosses over the top, and again take an inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, press through your hands, press your hips back to your heels. Feeling that stretch all the way down your side body. And bringing your hands back through center, make your way up to a tabletop position, bringing your hands underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips, the tops of your feet, just plant down into the mat. Coming into a cat-cow, so as you inhale, drop your belly down, lift your chest and lift your gaze. And as you exhale, round through your spine, tuck your chin in towards your chest, doming through your shoulders. Inhale, soften through your elbows, drop your belly, lift your gaze. And exhale, press the ground away, so you can move through this as many times as feels good for you. Connecting to your breath, noticing every sensation you feel in your body. We'll start to warm up through the wrists, the spine. You can circle around your wrists one way and the other way. You turn your fingers to face the edges of the mat, gently rock from side to side. Maybe flip one palm over and then the other, stretching through the backs of your wrists. Just doing any movement that feels good. Coming back to your neutral tabletop, bringing your left hand a little bit more central in the mat. Keep your hips where they are as you take your right hand up towards the top of your space. Rolling your right shoulder back, lifting your gaze. And threading your right hand underneath your left arm, bring your shoulder and your cheek to the mat. Taking your left hand forwards. You have the option to extend your left leg out behind you, press back through your heel and take a breath here. Bring your left knee back down to the ground, bring your left hand by the side of your face, press all the way back up to the ceiling. And bring your right hand to the center of your mat. Taking your left hand up, roll your left shoulder back, take a breath here. And then threading your left hand underneath your right arm, bring your left shoulder, your cheek down to the mat, and reach your right hand forwards. Maybe this is where you stay, or you could extend your right leg out behind you, press back through your heel, take a stretch here. Bring your right knee back down to the mat, your right hand by the side of your face, sweep your left hand all the way back up to the ceiling. And bring bring it back down to the mat. We'll make our way into a high plank. So spreading through your fingers, press down through your fingertips, the backs of your knuckles and your thumbs. Extend your left leg out behind you, and then your right. Pressing back into your heels, press the ground away. Draw your belly button up towards your spine. We're coming into a downward facing dog from here. So just start to bend your knees. Press your chest back towards your thighs and lift your hips high. You can keep a soft bend in your knees, tilting your hips upwards. Maybe you start to pedal out your legs, bending one knee in and the other. You could sway from side to side, coming onto the edges of your feet. You can nod your head yes, shake your head no. We'll move through a few vinyasas, so look towards your hands, come up onto your tiptoes, roll forwards into your high plank. Drop your knees and tuck your toes and wrap your elbows inwards as you send your chest forwards and down. Lift your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together, baby cobra. And then press back to your heels and meet back, downward facing dog. We'll do this 2 more times. Look towards your hands, roll forwards, high plank. Drop your knees and tuck your toes, send your chest forwards and down. Lift your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Press back to your heels. Meeting back, downward facing dog. Maybe this time you can link your breath to your movement, so take a full breath. And on your next inhale, roll forwards, high plank. Exhale, drop your knees and lower yourself down. Inhale, lift your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together. And exhale, meet back, downward facing dog. From here, your left leg lifts up high. Into your 3-legged dog, press back through your right heel. And look towards your hand, step your left foot to the outside of your left hand, drop your knee and tuck your toes. You can start to rock forwards and backwards. Maybe circling your knee one way, the other way. And finding stillness in your lizard. So bringing your knee over your ankle. Maybe you walk your hands a little further out in front of you and send your hips forwards and down. Taking 2 full breaths here. Heel toe your left foot into the center of the mat, framing it with your hands. Tuck your right toes, lift your knee. And step your left foot to meet your right, moving through a vinyasa, drop your knees and tuck your toes. Send your chest forwards and down. Lift your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together. And press back to your heels. Meeting back, downward facing dog. And your right leg lifts up high. Press back through your left heel, look towards your hands, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Dropping your left knee and tuck your toes, rock forwards and backwards. Circling your knee maybe one way and the other way. And then letting yourself find stillness, sending your hips forwards and down. Trying not to round through your spine, keeping your chest lifted, creating length through your spine. Taking 2 breaths here. Heel toe your right foot into the center of the mat, framing it with your foot, tuck your left toes, lift your knees, step back, high plank. And move through a vinyasa, drop your knees and tuck your toes, lower yourself down. Lift your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together. And press back to your heels. Meeting back, downward facing dog. Your left leg lifts up high. Coming into a pigeon, bring your left knee behind your left wrist. And take your left ankle over to the right side of the mat. You can tuck your right toes, lift your knee, slide it a little further away. Just noticing how this feels. You might want a block underneath your left glute. You can bring a block underneath your forearm as you start to lower yourself down to the mat. Pausing here for 3 breaths. Inhaling to notice where you feel it the most. And exhale to release some of that tension, let it go. Inhaling to notice. And exhale to release. Last one. Slowly starting to lift back up onto your hands if you're not already. You can tuck your right toes, bring your knee in a little bit closer towards you. As you tuck your right toes, lift your knee, sleep your left foot all the way back up, three-legged dog. You can bend your knee, circling it one way and the other way. Or planting it down, moving through a vinyasa, roll forwards, high plank. Drop your knees and tuck your toes, lower yourself down to the mat, baby cobra. Pressing back to your heels. And meet back in your downward facing dog. We'll do the same on the right side. Your right leg lifts up high. You bend into your knee and bring your right knee behind your right wrist. Your right ankle over to the left side of the mat. Tucking your left toes, lift your knee, slide it a little further away. And again, try not to collapse down onto your right side. Keep your hips square to the mat. Maybe you stay here, or lowering down to your forearms. You could even rest your forehead down on your hands. Noticing if your mind has wandered off, can you come back to your breath? Slowly lifting back up onto your hands. Taking your time, tuck your left toes, bring your knee in a little bit closer. And then lift all the way back up, three-legged dog. Maybe bending your knee, circling one way and the other way. Planting your foot down, look towards your hands and just start to walk your feet to the top of your mat. Coming into a halfway lift, bring your fingertips to your shins, lift your chest and your gaze. And release into a forward fold, holding on to opposite elbows. Sway from side to side. Could nod your head yes, shake your head no. Taking 2 more breaths here. Releasing your hands down, start to heel toe your feet as wide as the mat, letting your toes point outwards. Start to lower your bum down between your heels, coming into your malasana, your yogi squat. Bring your hands to heart center, your elbows are on the inside of your knees. And just gently sway from side to side. Taking a twist, take your left hand out in front of you, take your right hand up to the top of the space, and your gaze follows. And coming back through center, taking your right hand out in front, take your left hand up. Coming back through center, taking one final breath here. Bringing your hands down behind you, lower yourself down onto the mat. And you extend your left leg, bring your right foot to your inner thigh. So sliding your left hand down your left leg, reach your right hand up and over, so coming into a side bend. Keep rolling your right shoulder back. Try not to let your chest collapse down. Taking 2 breaths here. Coming onto your wild thing on your knee, bringing your right hand down behind you, lift your hips and sweep your left arm overhead, gazing towards your hand. Releasing back down to the mat, turn to face your left leg, inhale, take a halfway lift, and exhale, hinge forwards. Either lead with your chest or you can round through your spine, drop your head, take a breath here. Lifting all the way back up, bring the soles of your feet together, let your knees drop out to the side. Just bring your hands to your feet. Inhale, take a halfway lift, lift your chest, and exhale, hinge forwards. You can round through your spine, drop your head down. Again, coming back to your breath every time your mind wanders, taking one more here. Lifting back up, just extend your right leg, bring your left foot to your inner thigh. Sliding your right hand down your right leg, reach your left hand all the way up and over. So opening your chest towards the top of the space. And take 2 breaths here. Planting your left hand down behind you, lift your hips and sweep your right arm overhead for your wild thing on your knee. Releasing down, turn to face your right leg. Inhale, take a halfway lift, and exhale, hinge forwards. Taking your hands back towards you, plant your feet down on the mat, and reach your arms out in front of you as slowly as you can. You're going to roll yourself all the way down to the mat. Hugging your knees in towards your chest. Gently rock from side to side. Taking your arms out wide, let your knees drop over to the left. And take your gaze over to the right. Maybe bring your left hand onto your belly and breathe into this space. Bring your knees back through center. Maybe you shuffle your hips over to the left. And drop your knees over to the right. Take your gaze over to the left. You could bring your right hand onto your belly. Coming back through center into a happy baby. So draw your knees in towards your armpits. Take your feet up towards the top of the space, holding on to either the backs of your knees, the outside of your ankles, or you could hook your peace fingers around your big toes and rock from side to side. Maybe straightening one leg and then the other. Taking any final movements that you feel that you need before making your way into a final relaxation, a Shavasana. Taking your legs as long as the mat. Take your feet as wide as the mat. And let your arms relax by your side. Finding stillness here. And starting from your feet, let your toes, your heels, your ankles relax. Let your shins, your calves, your knees, and the space behind your knees relax. Your thighs, your quads are heavy, feel them sinking down into the mat beneath you. Your hips, your pelvis, your chest, and your belly relaxes. Any tension you're holding in your shoulders, your neck, your jaw, or your forehead melts away into the mat beneath you. As your shoulders roll back and down, your tongue releases from the roof of your mouth, and your eyes softly close. Your biceps, your forearms, your wrists, and your fingers relax as you let your whole body soften and surrender to the ground beneath you, knowing there's nothing left for you to do, and right now nowhere else you need to be. Take a clearing breath in through your nose, fill your lungs with air, pause at the top, and then open your mouth and sigh out, let it go. Taking one more breath like this, in through your nose, and open your mouth, sigh out. As you let your breath become soft now, so soft you can barely notice it. Allow gravity to act on every muscle, on every bone. And although thoughts may drift in and out of your mind, keep bringing yourself back to your breath. Allow it to ground you. You let yourself find stillness and stay in your Shavasana for as long as you like.